We covered a lot in today's show, and we want to circle back around on our big story, Michael Flynn. We know that Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, found requested documents from his case to be unsealed, and now that very evidence may be changing the way we think about the FBI and the Russian-Trump collusion narrative. Sean, you were also there. What do you think about all this as it continues to unfold and we find out more and more?
Yeah, first thing I want to say is Sidney Powell deserves some kind of legal medal, because I don't think people realize that General Flynn fired his first law firm, and clearly they hadn't made any of that headway that he did. So first of all, she deserves a ton of thanks. I think he's going to forever be in her debt, and rightly so. Second thing I think is fascinating. Let's go back, if I can, to what we showed KT on the thing that Director Clapper said. Right? This is important for people to understand that all of this stems from this idea about whether or not Russia was colluding, or the Trump campaign, which, by the way, I was there. We basically couldn't collude with ourselves, and now apparently we're colluding with a foreign government. So interesting. But the thing that's so funny is he is fairly declarative in this statement. You see it right there, that there is no evidence that he has seen that suggests this. So if that happened, this should have been case closed. All that being said, if anyone in the media was objectively looking at this, they would have said, okay, knowing that Clapper himself says this, knowing the fact of what's come out in these 302 handwritten or these notes from the FBI agents, knowing the fact that the 302 investigative notes that were based on Flynn's plea had been changed by the FBI, then everyone would say this is an unbelievable miscarriage of justice. Instead, they're saying, yeah, but Flynn pled guilty. I cannot get over that.
Yeah, it is kind of shocking. That's what they are hanging their coat on when all the evidence is showing this. And I think KT made a good point as well. She said if it wasn't this, they would have just made up something else, because clearly they made up half of this and people are still saying, oh, it's not enough. What more evidence do people want to see?
That's what I can't get. And I literally, if you watch some of these other networks, that's all they talk about. He lied, he lied. They're not talking about what led up to this. If you didn't have collusion, there should have never been a conversation with Flynn in the first place. That's what this all was about. Once they concluded it didn't exist, move on. Nothing else. But they didn't. You see what Strzok says in these emails. Keep the case open for a few more days. We've got something coming. And that's when Comey says, yeah, we figured we'd send a few days down. I mean, they're basically saying we couldn't find anything, so let's see if we can trap him into saying something, and then we can get him on that. That, to me, is something that should concern every single American. Doesn't matter if you didn't do it, we'll find you and get you on something else.
When we were talking about the bad apples with KT, the one thing that she said is shed the light on it, the sunlight. I like how she said that, to declassify this information. Who requests that, to declassify all this information for us to see where this all began? Because it looks like it was pretty high up.
I mean, I think that would have to come from Bill Barr. But what I think was fascinating that we kind of talked about, you're right, because if we don't know what happened then, how do we prevent it from happening going into this 2020 election? And it doesn't mean to sound scary, but it's true. If this is what happened afterwards, and I was there, as I mentioned, the idea that people were accusing us of colluding is insane. And then to suddenly say, okay, so if you did it then, what are they going to do this time to make sure that there's some kind of cloud hanging over any decisive win?
And when you look at it, I mean, this really has marked President Trump's entire presidency.
Oh, my God.
It's insane. And now to look back and say, actually, none of this was true, but it's stamped on him forever. And will people change their mind? We're seeing that the left isn't.
Good point, because you can't change it. Once the bell is rung, you can't unring it. And he's reacted and tweeted so many times about stuff that that's the story. And that you can't unring it. But you're right. If that had never happened, where would we be now? Because I guarantee you, I disagree with KT on this. I don't think there would have been a Mueller investigation at this point, because Trump wouldn't have fired Comey. I mean, that wouldn't have happened, and that's what precipitated all of this.
One thing led to the next. Will be interesting to see what else comes out from this. Obviously, we got the transcripts.
Yeah, we keep hearing rumors about another bombshell. I don't know what that could be, but that's going to be fascinating if that occurs. Another one. Unreal. I mean, this I thought was pretty stunning this week. One more bombshell. I mean, KT's going to have to come back again.
We'll have her back, and she'll just unfold it all again for us. Well, that up next, a surprising on-camera interview with Tara Reid and new evidence coming out supporting her claims against Joe Biden. What does this mean for the former vice president? Our company is going to weigh in next.